The 7 most evil people in the Bible. Number 1. Nimrod. Nimrod is a legendary biblical figure in the book of Genesis and Chronicles. This occurred after Noah's time. He is a descendant of Cush, who ruled over the land of Shinar. Nimrod eventually became the father of 2 of the Bible's and world history's greatest empires, Assyria and Babylon. He was the first world civilization's great leader. Regrettably, he also led the world astray from God. First, what does the name Nimrod mean? It comes from the Hebrew verb marad, meaning rebel. Nimrod is mentioned 3 times in the Bible. Genesis 10 is the first and most detailed passage. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. The next time Nimrod appears is in a genealogy at the beginning of 1 Chronicles. According to a passage in the book of Micah, Assyria was still regarded as a land of Nimrod hundreds of years later, at least by the people of God. Babel is often thought to be the same as Babylon, which Nimrod is recorded as founding in Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. Some Bible translations list this city as Babel rather than Babylon. Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar, in Babylonia. People desired to construct a tower that reached into God's sphere of heaven, effectively challenging heaven. According to the text, they wanted to make a name for themselves. We have a rough idea of what the tower would have looked like. A ziggurat, a large brick structure with spiral staircases extending upwards. The tops of such towers were frequently adorned with astrological symbols. But they didn't build that tower to worship stars. Instead, it was to express his own power and grandeur. God was outraged by the Tower of Babel. He said that if he let them continue, there was no telling where it would end. So God gave tongues for the first time to confuse the people. They could no longer understand each other. From then on, humanity split, scattering and speaking different languages. There is an interesting footnote to the story of Babel. The people at Babylon, Babel, declared independence, not from another nation, but from God himself. Let us build ourselves a city, and a tower with its top in the sky. Let us make a name for ourselves. To construct a city was to build civilization. To create a tower was to construct a religious order. Both would be man-centered efforts rather than God-centered ones. They were embracing a type of humanism.